Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. Hi, I'm Joe Mishka. Welcome to another episode of Rural Heritage TV.
My name's Kaitlyn Edwards, and we're here in Linden, Tennessee at the second annual Cedar Creek Plow Day.
And this is the second one.
Yes, sir.
So the first one must have been pretty successful.
Yeah, we had a good time last year, good turnout. Seemed like a good response from the community, so we decided that we wanted to continue. So,
Did you do anything different this year than last year?
The layout's a little different. Have a couple new vendors, a couple new demonstrations, trying to add something, so it's something new to see.
Right. It seems like you have an emphasis on homesteading. Would that be right?
Yes.
Okay. And so it would be a lot of skills that people used to take for granted.
Yes, skills that maybe people need now going into the future.
Right.
Things that people might not have learned, that they'd like to. So, and an opportunity, we have free admission, so it's an opportunity for people to come out and, maybe if they don't, have the funds to attend the bigger seminars, they can come and, meet people, like-minded people, learn a skill, so.
And make friends and maybe find a mentor.
Yeah, community. So that's the main purpose, is to create community. So
the number of people, we'll call them city folk, that are getting interested in this kind of stuff, it seems like it's growing. Do you have that feeling at all?
Yeah, it seems like, there's a need for it, that it's, more people are interested. As generations go on, they haven't learned that from previous generations, so,
Yeah.
An interest to learn.
Okay. And the people who are doing these skills, performing these skills, aren't just doing it as a novelty. They're doing it in real life.
Yes.
Right? Canning and...
Yes. The people that we picked are people that we know are strong suitors for each skill. So the person doing sourdough, she makes sourdough for her family. The person doing the butter and the cheese making classes, that's what she does for her family. So just picking people that we knew would be strong teachers for each class. So.
And so you named a couple of them. What other demonstrations would people see here?
We have a canning meat and a rendering animal fat class. We have chicken butchering, a class about meat rabbits, and a culling demonstration at the end of that. We have a lady that comes and she spins fabric. I think it's titled Cloth Production in the 1800s. So we have a guy here making straw brooms on site with a machine, no motors. So the only motors we have here are used, to cook the food, and that's just about it. So.
Okay. And there's also some demonstrations of processing chickens and rabbits?
Yeah, that's the chicken butchering and the meat rabbit class.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right.
So,
Talk to me about your feed store.
We have a little feed store in Linden. It's just me, my husband, and my daughter most of the time, which she's a year and a half, so she's not toting bags or anything unless she'd like to. So we just sell feed and a little bit of health products for animals, nothing giant or anything.
Okay. And Linden, is that a big town?
No, we're a pretty small town. We have a couple fast food places, a dollar store, a little grocery store, nothing giant, but we're growing, so we're about an hour and a half west of Nashville,
so people can find you.
Yeah. Our main purpose is we just want to get the younger generation around horses, the machinery. We even had an older gentleman last year that just made the comment that he didn't even realize they still produced horse-drawn equipment, that they still manufactured it. So there's something to learn whether you're young, you're old. We have something for everybody. So.
Sure.
Okay, I am essentially discussing what it's like to own and care for a family milk cow. If anybody's interested in actually seeing how a cow is milked after the demonstration, we can go over to Gracie's cow and we can take a look at that. But essentially, I try and educate people on what it is to own and care for the milk cow other than actually milking and getting your milk. So in Tennessee, we have prime land for owning a cow. If you go out west, you're looking at almost 20 acres per head of cow. In Tennessee, it's 0.8 head of cow per acre, so about a cow an acre, a little more. And so with having good rainfall and good soil, they have enough to graze on through the summer. We have good hay production down here, not a area for wildfires and stuff to take our hay production, so it's a good area to own a family milk cow. With that being said, if you were to purchase a family milk cow, you still have to take into consideration through the winter that you do have to buy hay. The cow has to eat, and it's, you know, once the grass dies down on the fields, you have to supplement. A lot of dairy cows, because of their high production of milk, they will lose body fat if they're not supplemented with some type of feed. You can find grass-fed genetic cows. They are going to be much more costly than your standard family milk cow that you can, you know, shop around for locally. But with that being said, with them giving 5, 6, 7, 8 gallons of milk a day, you're going to have to give them feed. That you know, includes like sweet feed or something that has a good protein in the feed. With having a family milk cow, besides the feed, you have vet bills. I've had 2 Jerseys, and I now have 2 heifers and a Dexter that's about to calve. If anything could go wrong with a dairy cow, I've had it happen in the last 2.5 years. The only thing I have not dealt with was milk fever, and that was because when my cow calved, I was like, I'm giving her something just to prevent her from getting milk fever because I didn't want to chance it. Jerseys are notorious, one of the most notorious for getting milk fever. Whenever they drop milk down after calving, they drop a lot of calcium out of their bloodstream into that milk, and whenever it does, it pulls the calcium out of the muscle. The cow can't move. Your heart needs calcium to contract as muscle, and it'll cause your cow to fall over dead. These are some of the cow tubes that are sold. They have calcium, magnesium, and cobalt. Yes, calcium, magnesium, and cobalt. If my cow is calving or has just calved, I shoot a tube of this just to prevent from getting milk fever if she's going to. We have had a cow with an uncurable mastitis before that we ended up having to have culled. She was run through a sale barn, and beef cattle are notorious for having a bacteria called mycoplasma. It cannot be treated, and in beef cattle it's not worrisome because you're not drinking the milk from the cow and it doesn't go in the meat. So when she got exposed to this, it caused her to have mastitis. I had it tested, could not be cured, and I was out $1,000 for a cow that I couldn't use. You can't drink the milk that has that mycoplasma in it because it's one of the #1 bacteria that give humans pneumonia. And I know that, I'm a nurse as well, so definitely didn't want that on the farm. It is super easily spread. It's one of the like cell barn sicknesses that you see cows go through. If you are going to obtain a family milk cow, I would not recommend getting one from a sale barn. If they're at a sale barn, there's a reason they're at the sale barn. Steer clear. Even if it's a cheap price, it's not worth the risk, because if they do have something you're trying to save it from, you're going to spend more money than you would on buying a family milk cow from somebody that's been tested and is a reliable source. With having mastitis in some of my cows and stuff, I ended up treating a lady's cow that lived down the road from us. She come from Alaska, wanted to have a family milk cow, bought one, didn't know what she was doing or where she was coming from or where she was going. Ended up getting a cow. The cow got a sore around the base of her teat where the calf was sucking, and it started kicking. She was scared of it. She wouldn't milk it. She was afraid she was going to get kicked. So with not milking, the quarter got super swelled up, lots of edema. She ended up setting mastitis up in that quarter. She brings the cow to me. She's like, if you can help me save this cow and get her sold, you can have her calf. It's like, deal. I've done dealt with this. We'll do it again. So I treated her cow. I mean, I don't necessarily want to be kicked by a cow, but I have a head catch and a stanchion. So I put the cow in there. I went out and milked her every day. Yes, she was kicking at me. I avoided legs at all possibilities. I did get struck a couple times, but she was sore. She wasn't trying to be mean. I ended up getting her treated. I use a product from Synergy Animal Products. I plan on trying to sponsor them next year. They are all natural treatments for cows with mastitis. They are out of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has a lot of Amish dairy farms, and they have to dump their bulk milk tanks if they use antibiotics on their dairy cows because it is getting pasteurized and sold. But with this product, because it has all natural ingredients like poke oil, turmeric, ginseng, different things like that, like you could take a drink of this, probably won't taste good, but you could. Because it's all natural, they don't have to dump their bulk milk tank. And I have treated 2 cows and then had other people treat cows after hearing about the products from me from mastitis. We always milk that quarter, whichever quarter's bad, out separately. I don't want the bad milk because I'm drinking it raw. These dairies are pasteurizing it. But within about 2 weeks, you're clear. I test with, it's called California Mastitis Test Kit. You put it on a paddle and it coagulates kind of like blood does if it has a high white blood cell count. If it's clean, it won't coagulate, and I test if I think I have mastitis, and then I test after my treatment to make sure it's successful. The products, typically, because this is an all natural product, and you know, my kind of conspiracy theory mind thinks that all the government tries to control everything we do. He can't list on the bottle the dosage and how to give it and how many days and whatnot, because it is an all natural product. So you can call him, he'll answer the phone, you tell him what your milk looks like, if it has any salty taste, if you have tasted it or whatever, and he will give you which product to use, how much, and it usually is injected into the teat with a teat dilator. You can buy those at Tractor Supply and stuff, or they can be ordered. You have to make sure that you have somebody that is willing in your area to trim cows' feet if you don't have terrain that the cow can walk over to wear their hoofs down. My husband is a farrier and he trims our cows' hoofs, but it is a whole lot harder to find somebody that will trim a cow's feet than it is to trim a horse's feet. Cows typically aren't trained to have their feet trimmed, and it is a big investment to have one of the cow flippers to lay them on their side to get to all 4 feet. Like I said, if you get a family milk cow and you're investing, let's say $2,000 in purchasing the cow, that's just the beginning of it. And if anybody thinks that it's purchase a cow, bring it home, give it some feed and milk it and all's gonna be well, that's what this whole thing is about, is because it's not that easy. If you don't calf share, it's morning and evening, and especially in a high producing Jersey or Guernsey or Holstein of some sort, they give tons of milk, and it is not good for the cow, and is harder to get them down to what they would call a once a day milking, where you could get 3 or 4 gallons out once, in the morning or the evening. With those high producers, they need to be milked twice a day to avoid issues. In your later lactation of a higher producer, so you've had a cow that's been in milk for almost a year now, you don't have her bred back, you can milk a cow as long as you want to, as long as you continue milking. It's not like they just decide to dry up. It's kind of like if you're nursing a child, you nurse up until you want to wean. If it's a year, if it's 2 years, it's the same thing with the cow. As long as you're telling that cow's udder when you're milking it to be producing milk, it'll keep producing it for you. Unless you have another person that has a milk cow, or that they have milked all of their life, you can't go on vacation. It's not like, hey, I'm done milking for this week, I'll be back. Not an option. It's hard to find somebody to take over for you, and if you do and you care about your animals, you're worried that they're not going to do it like you do it. Make sure they're milked out, make sure they're cleaned, make sure that they're not risking mastitis. With our cows, I typically prefer to calf share. So you have issues with your calves. So when we bought our Jersey, I had bought 3 Holstein bull calves to put on my cow. I had one that I had to tube feed with this device here because we aren't sure if he was technically a dummy calf, but when he tried to nurse on the teat, he stuck his tongue out the side. So he couldn't get a good latch on the teat to express the milk out. And because he couldn't do that, he couldn't drink out of the bottle either, and I had to tube feed him until he gained enough strength and we actually taught him on the bottle how to suckle. I had another one I had on the bottle. He ended up getting scours, which is diarrhea in calves. We ended up treating him with apple cider vinegar and pectin to kind of coat his belly, give him some good bacteria back, and make the milk that was in his belly a little more thick. Whenever calves get the scours, it's hard to treat them for it because whenever it goes in and it's coming out just as fast, they have rennet, like you would use in cheese making, inside their stomach. Well, whenever it's being expressed out, it's dousing all of that rennet out, and it doesn't have time to coagulate that milk inside their belly. So the pectin helped firm it up a little bit, and the apple cider vinegar actually started coagulating and almost making cheese in the baby's belly, so that it gave it a bit of a head start on trying to get some of the nutrients out of the milk. I did end up having one calf die. It was brought home from the dairy. He was very lively, done great, nursed straight ahead, and we aren't sure if he was actually taken off of his mother too soon and didn't have enough colostrum, or if the change in like the more first-hand milk of the mix of colostrum and the milk coming in, and my Jersey's older, higher fat content milk just threw him off too soon. But he come to the house super lively, and then he actually 2 days later passed away. That was how fast it happened. So with that being said, even if you have a cow that calves there on the farm, that can still be an issue. And if you're soul set on calf sharing and you have a calf that dies, you're still gonna be reliable for milking that cow. You can't just decide, hey, I'm not gonna milk. If you decide you want to dry her up, you're still gonna have to go out there, dedicate the time to getting some of that milk off, but leaving some in there to tell her body, slowly stop producing milk until you can dry her up. But as far as just walking away and leaving her, she's gonna get mastitis. She could possibly go septic, and you could have a dead cow. We do machine milking or hand milking. My Dexter, I like to hand milk because she has a smaller bag, bigger teats, easier to do. My Jersey that I had smaller teats, super hard to hand milk. We ended up buying this from a lady that's doing a demonstration down here. She used it for goats. These teat cups can be interchanged, and we bought the cow ones, and it hangs on a belt around the cow's hips. This hangs underneath of her belly, and you hook it up to a vacuum pump and a generator, and it pulsates suction. The teat goes down in there, and once you unkink it, it'll start pouring the milk out. We bought these clear ones because they come with black ones, and I couldn't see if the milk was coming out or if it wasn't, and I didn't like that. I was afraid if the milk stops coming out or I've got something wrong, it's gonna pinch off, and they can damage a cow's teats if it's not done right. So we bought the clear one so I could make sure there was milk flow coming out and whatnot. I love this thing. Only downfall to it, it is super, super heavy with no milk in it. You put about 3 gallons of milk in this, and I got a little wagon around here somewhere the kids are playing with. That's what I have to get the milk to the house with, because I cannot pack this with 3 to 4 gallons of milk in it. Whenever we do go out to milk, I use bag balm, which is lanolin that women use after breastfeeding on all of my teats after milking, because it helps moisturize them so they don't get cracked and dry and irritated. Jerseys will split down the sides in the wintertime. They get, just like you get chapped lips the cows get chapped teats. When we go out to milk, I always wash hot soapy water. I have a big shop towel dispenser in my milking parlor that I use. I don't use washcloths. I don't want any more laundry to do than I have to, and I don't like sticking my rag back down in there. I pull off 4 paper towels, I stuff them all down in there, I pull one out to clean each teat, and then I grab one to clean, make sure there's nothing on the bag. If I am hand milking, I put something over top of this to keep, in the summertime, you're milking, you'll end up shooting a fly down in there. I'm sorry if there's a fly in my milk that I know was sitting on a cow patty somewhere, I'm done, the dogs can have it. So I'd use a cheesecloth, I put it over it, I've got some big rubber bands or headlamp bands. I take the headlamps off of them and strap that over there. That way if I do shoot a fly down or something comes off the cow's tail, if she's laid down in manure, that way it's sitting on top of that cheesecloth and I can do something with it rather than it falling down in the bottom of my milk bucket. I usually store my milk in smaller containers. The quicker you cool it, the longer it will last. If it is put in a gallon jar and set at the front of your refrigerator, it's gonna sour and turn to yogurt and buttermilk and everything else in a couple days. If I put it in these, if I pre-chill them and put them in these, I've had milk last almost a month, fresh milk, and that's almost unheard of. But if you will chill it down super quick, in small containers, I've had it last not sour, not coagulate, not nothing, and I think it was 27 days that I had checked my milk. My big gallon jars, even if I put them at the back of the fridge, I can get about 7 or 8 days out of them. So, and that's just the good bacteria that's in there starting to breed and work together. You can make many things out of burnt milk that's not, it's not actually ruined like you have store-bought milk. Store-bought milk will last 2 months without turning to chunks, and the fresh milk, once it does start turning, you have sour cream at the top, you can have yogurt, you can have whey, you can have all kinds of things. But owning a family milk cow is a wonderful thing. We love having them. I love being able to make butter and cheese and yogurt and stuff for the family and having raw milk to drink. It's super good for your stomach because of all the good bacteria that it has in it. But at the same time, if you think that it's what you see on Instagram and TikTok and these ladies going out and sitting down in the field with their dresses on, milking their cows, that's not how it is. And if you want...
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027. or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.